Hello, today I wanted to make some soap and I'm going to make an aloe vera and cucumber soap. Both are very good for the skin and very moisturising. Certainly aloe vera I think is one of the most highly rated moisturising materials or plants, and I've got it over here. Hold on. I actually cut some off this aloe vera leaf earlier, so normally they're great big things, and I've actually frozen it because what I'm going to do is I've got the frozen ice cubes of aloe just there, so I'm going to mix the sodium hydroxide in with the aloe. The reason I've frozen it is because as soon as you add this to water or water-based item, it gets very, very hot. So to help protect the aloe, I've frozen it first. I'm going to add in some cucumber as well, and I'm going to have to mash that up. So in dealing with the aloe, or in dealing with the sodium hydroxide, sorry, you should always be wearing gloves. So I'm just going to put those on now. I should have put them on already, but there you go. And you should wear goggles as well, so just as extra eye protection. So let me show you what I'm doing down here. So we've got the, there we go, so we've got the frozen aloe there, and we've got the cucumber as well. I'm going to add this in a little bit later. I'm going to start, because this is going to be a lengthy process, so I'll probably skip forward. I've measured out these quantities, so I'm just going to put this in a little bit at a time, and I'm going to just keep stirring it. This takes quite a while. It heats up pretty quickly, but the ice will stop it from heating quite so quickly. But already, that's already melted down very, very quickly, and it will continue to do so. Whilst that is taking place, I'm going to put the cucumber, which I've also measured, into this container, and I'm going to mash this up into a liquid using a hand blender. So there we go, whack that in there. So we've got that doing its stuff already. It's melting quite quickly, so I'm going to mix up the cucumber quickly using this stick blender. Now that I've blended the cucumber, I'm just going to add it, since it's part of the water, straight to this mixture, so it's all in there together. I'll give it one final blend at the end to keep it all mixed up and make sure that it's all as fine as it can be. But for the moment, that will help it not to overheat, having the whole thing in there together. So I'm just going to give that a little mix up. That's doing good. And now I can add the rest of the sodium hydroxide whilst it's still quite cool in there. There we go. I'm just going to mix that up with the ice in. I'm just going to keep stirring that for a bit. But that will stay a little bit cooler because of the ice. The ice will eventually melt. The sodium hydroxide will totally see to that. But this will just help it to not get too hot too quickly, and help prevent the aloe from scorching too much. Okay, the other thing that I'm going to use for this is I've got 2 lots of soft oil in here. So I've got olive oil and some castor oil, so that's a couple of the oils, and I'm using a bit of hard oil as well. Now sometimes I use, or quite often I use coconut oil, but I've learnt that some people do have an allergy to coconut, so I'm not using any coconut for this recipe. I'm just using 2 hard oils, which you can see in there, which I'm about to melt, and they are Shea Butter and Monoi de Tahiti oil. So I'm going to melt those, and then I'm going to pour them into the soft oil. And the other thing that is going to be added at the trace stage, which is later on, is a bit of pink Himalayan salt, which I'm just going to mix with some water just for it to dissolve, and some sugar. The pink Himalayan salt, that is good for the skin, but also it helps to make a harder bar of soap, and the sugar, that helps to create extra lather, extra bubbles in the soap. So I'm just adding some of that as well. So I'll get these melted and then we'll pour the fats together. Okay, so now it's about half an hour or to an hour later, I'm not sure, didn't look at the time, but everything's cooled down now. So the mixture of the aloe with the cucumber is now nice and cool, and it's a sort of a greeny colour. I think if you scorch it and it gets too hot, which happened before on another batch, this goes quite a red sort of colour, which doesn't tend to affect the final colour of the soap, or it didn't in that case, but this is a lot better, and obviously keeping it at a cooler temperature means that it's going to be better overall for the soap. So that's ready to go in. Before I do, I'm just going to lower this so you can see. I'm going to pour in the melted hard fats to the soft oils, so we'll do that now. So we've got the hard fats in here, so I'm just going to scrape all of that out, and that will go into the olive oil and the castor oil. This is the melted shea with Monoi de Tahiti oil, so I'll put that in there. Let's get every little bit out. Measurements need to be fairly accurate, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, we'll give that a little stir. There we go, and then I'm just going to pop that in there. So now when you're using lye, and it's always a good idea to wear protection such as these rubber gloves. I didn't earlier, but you should have long sleeves on as well, and you should have eye protection on, just in case a freak splash that you don't want to get that in your eyes. So I've got the protection on, so we're going to put this lye mixture now into the oils and pour that straight in. There we go, so that's the lye with the aloe and the cucumber. Let's get as much of that out as we can. There we go. And now we can stick blend this together. So until we get a nice emulsion. that's looking pretty good. Now, I want to have two colours in this, so I'm going to split this into halves. First of all, not forgetting the sugar water and the salt. Okay, so they're all in there. We'll just mix that up a little bit more. There we go. So let's come to a very, very thin... No, it hasn't. No, it's come to a nice emulsion, so that's right. I was going to say it's come to a very thin trace. I don't think we're quite there yet, which is good. I don't want it to be at a thin trace just yet. I'm going to have two different colours in this. I'm going to have the light green and a darker green, and I'm going to have some essential oils in here as well. So I'm going to have a bit of tea tree oil. So I do this by eye really. It works out by eye that it's about 10 ml of each. So I'm going to pour in a bit of tea tree. That's about right. And a bit of lemongrass as well. So these really do make it smell really quite nice and fresh. There we go. So that's the tea tree and the lemongrass in. We'll just give that a quick stir. Don't want to stir it too much, because if you stir it quickly and or too much, it will get to trace before I want it to get to trace, and don't want that. So that's good enough. I'm going to give it another hit or another stir once it's we've got the colour mica in. So this has got the light green mica, so it's going to go in there. And do about half and half. Doesn't have to be exact, but there we go. And then into this one I'm going to put some slightly darker green mica in, so I'll put that in here. And it's all natural what I'm putting in here. It's oxides from different metals. So the oxide from this is basically a bit of titanium dioxide, iron oxide and tin oxide. Let's give you an idea as to what that is. So it's all natural elements. Right, okay, that. So we'll just quickly mix these up. There we go, that's that one. And the lighter colour. Do a bit more in here. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so that's looking pretty good now. So we've got the two different colours there, and now it's ready just to pour into the mould. So prepared this mould a little earlier. I'm just going to pour it in both at the same time, but on different sides, so that we get a swirling kind of effect when you see it later on. And in doing this, I'm just going to swap these over as well a few times, because that helps to give a good pattern, a swirl effect. It smells lovely. Right, really fresh and lemony. It's really good. Okay, that's going in nicely. Let's pour in a bit more. Okay, so there we go. So now we're just going to scrape these out, just get every little bit out and into the soap. There we go. And the last one, here we go. We'll get that nicely in. There we go, lovely. And now, just to increase the swirl effect, because that's going to cause, when you see the bars of soap, it'll kind of create kind of like swirls, kind of in that sort of pattern. But I'm just going to mix that up just a little bit more with this spoon here, and just create a slightly different swirly pattern in here. Mixes it up just that little bit more. There we go. And that's it. So that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that aside for about 24 hours and let that really dry, and then we'll cut it and see what it looks like. Okay, so it's almost about 24 hours later now, so I've got the soap in the mould, so we're just going to take it out of the mould and we'll cut it and we'll see what we've got. So let's just bring this down here so that you can see the soap there in the mould there. There we go, nicely set. So we're going to take it out of the mould now. And it's smelling really good. It's very well, you can smell the lemongrass and the tea tree in there. It's always a nice fresh combination, that. So we'll just open this up. Now this is plastic, which I actually am able to reuse. It's easy enough just to clean this with simple water. The plastic sheet actually comes from a bin bag, and from a bin bag you can get 3, maybe 4 sections like this, and because you can clean it and reuse it, I get a good amount of use from it. So this is coming out very nicely. it's quite wet. It's got because of the water content in the actual soap. It's because of the plastic trapping that water in. It's quite wet, but that will evaporate, so that's not an issue. So I'm just going to pop this on the cutter. I'm going to bring that across so you can see it better. Let's just move this out of the way. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And then pull this across so you can see it better. There we go. And then yeah, we'll just get this nicely lined up. There we go. And then I'm just going to pull this down, we'll cut it, and we'll see what we've got. It's still fairly soft, so it's nice and easy to cut still at this stage. The longer you leave it, the harder it can be to cut, but this is going through really nicely. There we go. And now I used two different colours, but I did, as you saw, but this time I mixed them up maybe a bit too well. You can't see the colour difference quite so well on this one, which is quite interesting. But there we go. That's the soap there. So that's nice though, and the smell is lovely. You can see the two different colour tones in there, all quite mixed up well together. So. And I'll put these in to dry, and these will dry for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then they'll be good to use from there. So this is the next one there. The two different greens, they're just not, I don't think they're standing out that, there's not that much bigger difference between the two colours, but that's alright. That's still quite a nice effect anyway. And the aloe in there and the cucumber is going to be a lovely soap to use. So there we go. That's the effect all the way through. So, but I'll put these onto into a cardboard box. I'll put these in the airing cupboard so they'll dry. It doesn't ever get very warm in the airing cupboard, but it's a nice, obviously reasonably warm, dry place, and so it's a good place to dry these out. And as I say, in 3 or 4 weeks' time, they'll be good to go, good to use. There we go. That's that one, and the last one there. So, and then that's the end one, which got those lines on it, but that's alright. So there we go, that's that soap. That's come out quite nicely actually. I quite love the smell of it, it's really good. So I'll put those into dry now, and then they'll be ready to use in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I hope that you found that interesting, and watch out for the next video. See you then.